Hello beautiful people, welcome back to the video series. I'm very glad to have you here. Today we're going to build our first Active Directory server in our Nested Virtualization. So why do we need Active Directory? Well, every companies I know today or that I've worked with, they do have a directory services, at least Active Directory, where they manage your user and their resources. So we're going to deploy the Active Directory to see how companies in real life manage users, their resources, authentication, how we can we're going to see a lot of group policy management, replication, and a lot more. So since you already have your Nested Virtualization, everything is running fine, I'm going to expect you to download most of these images. They are actually free. All you have to do is go to just type download Windows 11 ISO and make sure that you are actually browsing the Microsoft website. So once you get there, all you have to do is to create the Windows 11 installation media. It's going to be the same thing for Windows 10. If you want to do the Windows Server, you can just come over here, and also you can specify the Windows Server version that you want and just put ISO. Make sure that you're always in the Microsoft website. When you get here, you can actually see the evaluation center. If you remove this, you'll be able to see all the software that you can have access to. So if I click on this one right now, it's going to take me where I can download the ISO. Since I already downloaded the ISO, I don't need to re-download it again. So let's get started with our Active Directory. So we click on New. Later in the future, we're going to talk about HyperV, the server management that we actually download in, I think it's the second video. So you click on New, the new virtual machine, and it's kind of like next finish. But if you don't understand some stuff right there, you can put it in the comments and I'll be very glad to assist you. So you go and click next. Here we're going to put it started with Peter. Instead of we're gonna say Windows Server 2019, just for us to know which kind of Windows Server it is. And then we're going to do Active Directory 01, because that's what we wanted to build right here. So the naming convention, you can name it the way you want, but I just want to make sure that this is a study with Peter region, the type of Windows server that I really want, and what it is, Active Directory, and this is the first server. So I copy that. I want to change this location. You can see that it's actually doing that in the C drive. If you remember, we have a different disk that we actually deploy. I actually showed that in the third videos of this series. So I wanted to go there and change it. So I'm going to browse and I'm going to go to the D drive and I'm going to select, instead of me selecting it this way, it's going to put this machine in the root server, and that is not advisable because it's going to mess things up. So I'll create a new folder and I'll call it virtual machine. So before that, let me do this. I'm going to do HyperV and I'm going to put this folder inside. So that means that we have the HyperV slash D drive slash HyperV slash virtual machine. So I'm okay with that. I can go ahead and select that, but I can go ahead and paste it there. The same. Let me go back to it. Say, just click on it and it's going to give me that path. So next. Now I'm going to select since most of the thing that we're going to be doing is going to use the UEFI firmware, so I love choosing the Gen 2 version, but you can also get yourself along with Gen 1. But if you're going to do like a Windows 11, this is going to be your best option. But most of the time I choose the generation 2. Next, I'm going to bump up the memory and I'm going to use a dynamic memory. Next, I'll choose my virtual network adapter that we created in the second video. Next, right here, it's actually getting the D drive and it's actually putting this hard disk inside it. Let's go ahead and browse it. So this is what it's doing. So what I wanted to do right here is that I want to have all the disk drive in a different location. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to create the same folder like I do create. Let me just go ahead and browse into it. So this is the HyperV, this is the virtual machine. I want to have a separate virtual hard disk. So whereby all my hard disk is going to stay there. Look at it right now. So every time I create a virtual machine, it goes to the virtual machine, and every time I create a disk to that virtual machine, it does the same. So I'll go to next. I'm going to select the Windows Server 2019 image. Remember, the name of the server is going to be 2019. So I'm going to click next and finish. You might say, Peter, why are you not doing Windows Server 2022? I will do that later. I'm just using the best I can do for now. I mean, you can have 2016 as your Active Directory. You can have 2019, 2022, or 2012 R2. It all depends on you. So I'm going to go ahead and start and connect. Okay, this is going to boot up. And you can just select English. Well, that's the only option that I have there. And just go next, install now. I know this actually takes a while. You are free to go ahead and skip this video. But the idea is I want to give you that experience, because in case you are doing your own, you're going to run into the same experience. So right here, I'm going to choose the data center and I'm going to choose the desktop experience next. Okay, I'm going to accept the license agreement. I'm not actually upgrading this server. I have to choose the custom. So yeah, I'm okay with everything that I have here. So instead of you actually watching this, I'm going to, while we are waiting for that, I want to show you something here. If you look at this panel, we have two information. The first one is actually related to the machine that we're actually on, which is a mega super machine. And the second one actually specify with the virtual machine itself, the settings and everything like that. So I want to play around with the HyperV settings right here, so that every time I create a new machine, it doesn't go to this and I have to keep changing it again. So I wanted to have this fixed. I will go to browse, I will go to my D drive, go to the HyperV, and let's see, don't make mistake, this is the virtual hard drive, so we're going to select the virtual hard disk. So that one is done. I will go again with the virtual machine. I will browse my D drive, I'll go to HyperV, and go to my virtual machine, and that's it. So I have the path. I can go ahead and apply and OK. So anytime you create new virtual machine, next you see that it already have the default. So you don't have to keep changing it just like I did before. So with that being said, I'm going to cancel out. I think that is everything that we need to do in that area while we are waiting for our first Active Directory to be up. So we fast forward this for you because you just don't have to wait. We don't have anything interesting in this installation. But if you just wanted to wait to see how everything goes, don't worry. I can leave it over for you, and you can watch it and actually compare that with what you are doing. So I'll be right back while I leave the installation to keep going. Wow, that was really fast. I'm actually impressed. I'm very impressed that this thing go really fast for us. So while we are waiting for that, let's see what it's doing on the other side, and I wanted to take you through some stuff right here. So you can come back here, and we're gonna see much about these checkpoints in the future. And this is part of the HyperV. You can come to check the memory allocation, the memory demand. There's a lot of things going on here. The network adapter, the MAC connection. We don't have an IP yet because the machine is not up yet. All right, look at that. So I'm going to put in my password. As a best practice, I love using the same password for all my server. And please, I think I made a mistake right here. Always verify what you type, because if you don't verify it and you made a mistake on the Active Directory, it's gonna cause a lot of issue. Most of the time, that server is not going to be useful anymore. So you don't want to forget the password to your Active Directory server. All right, let's see. Okay, our first Active Directory is coming up. Yeah. Wow, look at that. Okay, as an admin, let's go ahead and okay, I'm glad that I did not type in the wrong password. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, pretty interesting, right? That's awesome. Okay, I'm glad. Look at this. This is our virtualized machine, and look at this one. You see that we are running like this is a super mega machine, and this is a virtualized machine. So two things that we're going to do here. We make sure that we rename it. So I'm going to do. Let's do study with Peter AD01. So the only thing right here when you name your computer this way is that it just might give you like some tough time. But if you're a very kind of person that don't really care too much about that, so for me, I would have just do the computer name to be AD. But I really wanted to know, since we're gonna build a lot of different server, and I want to have my server name to be unique. So I'm going to do study with Peter AD01. Then when I join into the server, I will know which kind of server I'm working on. So I've actually changed the name. I know this actually taking us like 16 minutes, to be honest. There's no fast process in IT. Everything involves time. So go back. Okay, there we go. Now we are back. So I'm going to show the process of getting these domain controller, or making this to become a domain controller. Now that we have the name change, I will go over here under manage and add the role and features. So if you're following me, all you have to do is next finish, but I would advise you to understand what we are doing here. So take a little bit of time to read it. You're going to learn a lot from it. So I'll go next. Remember, this is just going to be a role base or feature base. You might be asking, if I click on this, what happened? Well, it's just give you to install a role service for a virtual desktop infrastructure, which is VDI. But in our case, we're going with the first one. Since this is going to be a domain controller, remember that on the second video, we actually do the IP address. So we are getting the DHCP to give us the IP address for this machine, which is kind of pretty cool. I really like that. So we're going to make some adjustment as we go. So next, and we're going to do Active Directory Domain Services. Add. Next. Click on this option. So what do we have? Well, we're going to have group policy management, remote server administration tools, and a lot of goodies installed. So while we're actually doing that, it shouldn't take that long, even though you are doing this on your regular PC. It shouldn't take a long period of time, as long as you follow what we are doing here. Most of the time, this is how big companies actually install their Active Directory to manage users and access. Most of the times when you work with a company and they're like, okay, go ahead and put your username and password, that you are actually using an identity from a Windows server. Either it's going to be virtualized in the cloud or you have it on on-prem. So when you get a new computer and they say go ahead and use the company names backslash your first and last name, put your password, you're actually authenticating to a directory services. So now everything is up. I'm going to promote this server to a domain controller. So this is where the fun started. This is not an existing domain controller, so this is going to be new. Most of this thing is actually self-explanatory. What I will do here is that I'm going to do study with peter.com. You can actually use anything here. I can do study with peter.local, or I can do .com because I have that domain, so for me it's fine. I should make sure that everything is in the right place. Now the domain functional level is set to 2016, so which is good. Why? Because we're installing a 2019 server. So I can actually do my password here also. Please make sure the password you provided here is the right password. And if not, that is the end of that domain controller. So this domain controller will have the capacity of doing domain names system, which is the DNS, and also we have it as a global catalog. We don't have a read-only domain controller. Please, we advise you to read a little bit about DNS, global catalog. I'm going to provide you with some information underneath this video that you can actually check later. So all you have to do is to click on next if you are really satisfied with the NetBIOS name. And most of the time they ask you in a question that, okay, where do we store the Active Directory database? Is in the sysvol file. So we have the database, which is the NTDS. We have the log file. We're going to browse to that place later in this video to see what information we have on the domain controller. And you click on next. And if everything looks good, you're going to get this check mark. If you're encountering like any issue regarding this, please let me know, and we can take a look into it together. So it takes a while, maybe less than 2-3 minutes for this to be completed. All we do here is just learn, practice, and apply. So it's never get old. I'm very grateful because I will be able to use this server for many things in our video series. There's no fast track in IT. Everything have to be practiced before you can say something is working or something is not working. So let's wait a little bit. Like I do mention in my video, if you really want to fast forward the video, you're allowed to do that. Let's see how long this baby is going to take. Let's see what happened if I... Oh, okay, look at that. So we are configuring the DNS server service on this computer. All right. So the server is actually successfully configured as a domain controller. Wow, that's amazing. So most of the time, I just ask the user to go ahead and restore the server. It takes time. It takes time for everything to be coupled together. So don't be afraid. If you are really spending a lot of time to get up your first Active Directory, now we are 26 minutes in this video, and you just keep practicing. It's a lot of time. Most of the Active Directory videos that you watch is not something that they just go ahead and make a magic. It takes time to couple up some things. So let's wait a little bit. Mm, 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 mm. What's going on? Patient, Peter, patience. So while we are doing that, we can actually take advantage of doing the second server also. We take advantage of doing the second server. So started with Peter, and we're going to do Windows Server 2019. Sorry about that. AD02. So, like I mentioned, let's say study with Peter on server AD02. Okay. Choose generation 2. Use dynamic memory, and I'm going to bump this up to 48. Use the same. I'm going to leave it at default. Browse to the ISO. Next. Next. So I just wanted to show you here how you can add an additional domain controller, but since it's going to take time, that's why I wanted to have it going right now, so that by the time we finish this one is already going. Next is the same thing. I choose the same evaluation center. Okay, so let's leave that alone for now. While we are doing that, while we are waiting for all these servers to come back, why don't we build a client machine? Let's build a Windows 10 client machine. We're gonna call it a client Windows 10. No, we're going to do study with Peter. Client Windows 10. What happened? Windows 10 machine. Well, let's go do it. Why not? So we can bump that up a little bit. We use dynamic memory. I'm going to leave it with that because we have a lot of storage. All right, so let's go ahead and do Windows 10. You just don't have to wait sitting there. You can start a lot of things going on. So let's go back to, you see, our Windows server is still running. So let's do our Windows 10. Let's check up on the second one, 51%. So right here, we need a product key, but I don't have right now, so that shouldn't be any problem. All right, accept, advance, next. Okay, so we leave that one going also, just like we have the second server. So let's go back to the Windows server now. You can see what happened. Started with Peter admin, so we're going to provide our admin credentials. All right, so if you are following me, no worries. Now that you have your server up and running, so we are waiting for it to come. I wanted to set a static IP on this server. And what else can I do? Because I don't want the IP address to keep changing every time, just in case we wanted to remote connect to it. So we have the 192.168.0.51. So let me go ahead and open my network. You can actually do it from here, from the dashboard. Then you click on here. Notice something before I go. It's a computer name and the domain name. Right click on it and go to properties. Go to IPv4. Double click on it. Then how do you know this information here? You can go to CMD and do ipconfig/all. That will provide you with information that is needed. So you can copy that, paste it in. That one is going to fill automatically for you. The default gateway is this. Remember, we set this up when we're trying to do a network adapter in the second video. If you have any question, please put it down in the comment section. And we do, okay. So every time we restart this AD Active Directory, we're going to have the same IP address always. So that is it. Now we have our Active Directory up and running. This is already 34 minutes. I'm going to cut this video right now so that in the next video, let us see what is going to happen with the second Active Directory and also this client computer, what we can do with it. Thank you so much. Oh, look at that. Before I thank you, let me go ahead and just follow the same process. That's it. So I'll follow the same process for the next video, but I'm going to show you how we can add this second Active Directory to this one. Thank you so much. Now you have your first Active Directory domain controller. I will show you all this beautiful stuff and what they do soon. Thank you so much. Have a nice one. Bye bye for now.